Welcome back to an evening edition of Dogging It. We are live here at the Predator World 10 Ball Championship. I am joined by my main man, Mike Panozzo, and none other than Karim Belhaj of Predator Group. Boys, how are you?
I'm good.
I'm doing great, thanks.
We appreciate you coming on. It was a little bit different circumstances a year ago, but I tell you what, Karim, I've been here for a few days now, and it seems to be what the last event was, but just times 10. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's man, the growth has been monumental, whether it's on the league side or on the pro side, and it's for me it's special, obviously, because this is the first event ever with 310 or 311 Predator tables.
There's
How
a lot
nerve
of it's a lot of tables.
That's a lot of Predator tables.
This was, I think, the first time that the Apex tables were introduced were at the Canadian Open, if I'm not mistaken, right?
For
So
this Premier League 7 foot, yeah.
the 7 foots, that's
Yeah.
right. So was there any kind of nerves coming into this event at all when it comes to the tables?
Yeah. We're. I was here for the setup, and I told myself, okay, see, everything goes well, I will not come to the setup next year because I'm away from my family for 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
no,
sure.
yeah, it was fantastic. The setup went well. The team did an amazing job. There was a couple issues that they fixed them so fast with moving all the tables. But no, the crew was great. The table is great. So no, everything went very well.
So you, Mike.
Well, no, I think it seems like everything's running pretty smoothly here. There's a lot of tables and there's a lot of players.
Yeah.
Um, haven't heard too many complaints, at this point. It seems like the pro tables have been, more consistent, less problems this year as well, right?
No, as far as I know, no problems. But
Yeah.
and you know how pro players are, so I would hear about it if there was an issue.
Yes. Yeah. You would know.
And I roam the room all day. I check. I go doing practice myself. And I want to see if there's an issue. I like to face the music. That's my style. That's the way.
Yeah.
I like
Well, that's why we got you here.
Thanks. Well,
We got a lot of music.
Yeah, yeah.
well, we have three crews, right? We have the crew that's focused only on the league tables. We have a crew that focuses on the 9 foot apex tables for the pros, and we have the crew that focuses on the carom table because we have the Las Vegas World Cup with the best three cushion players on the planet playing right now in the room next door.
Yeah.
Are
Good
those
stuff.
Predator tables as well?
Yes,
What's that feedback been like? Because I don't hear from
phenomenal,
them. Yeah.
phenomenal.
I tell you what, I've talked to a few pro players, and there was one in particular. There was a gentleman from Taiwan who hadn't been. Last time I saw him was at Mandalay at the U.S. Open some years back, and he wasn't here last year. And I asked him, I said, what do you think about the conditions? And he says, you know what, I was a little nervous after hearing some of the feedback from last year, but he said emphatically, he said, man, I've been playing on him and I love him. And
Yeah.
he was already, I think, he played in the Alpha event, and then I think now he's 2 rounds in on the World 10 Ball Championship. Had nothing but positive things to say, despite the fact that his initial concerns based off of feedback were a little, unnerving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I told you last year, we messed up on a couple things. It's gonna sound weird, but that's one of the best things that happened to us, because the innovations we added, the technology we invested in the table, the how creative the team was to reinvent ourselves to make the setup easier, and the love link system that's phenomenal, which is really innovative. There's nothing like that out there. Just made us way better.
Yeah.
So it was, how do you say in English, a blessing in disguise?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Very good.
yeah.
Don't ask me how to say it in French.
So speaking of investments in technology and things like that, the arena's fantastic. The arena that you guys put together this year, especially with the LED that you had at the Women's World 9 Ball, is really spectacular.
Yes, thanks. So the approach, Mike, is, I mean, the team we have running the event is fantastic, and there's two words you heard me say that many times, that Predator stands for. We bring innovation and inspire people to play to win, and innovation to play better, right? One simple example, and I'll come back to the arena, is you see how quiet this room is compared
Yeah,
to prior events.
yeah.
It's because of the technology we put in the table. We had the foam. We have materials to dampen the sound of play. On people ask me, well, why is it important? Well, my job is to help you be in the zone,
Yeah, that's fair.
play dead stroke,
Yeah,
whether it's with a cue or the table. And again, so that's key. That's critical. And that's we achieve that with our 7 foot apex table, which is completely different than any table out there that you'll play on. And the arena, same thing, is what do we do to make the pool experience more exciting, right? What you see visually is stunning, I think. Uh,
Yeah, it's very nice.
and but that's just the beginning. What we're going to be doing with the LED panels in the future to make the matches more dynamic, more entertaining, is pretty cool. Some of the ideas that the team has are going to be pretty neat. So you'll see evolution from event to event there.
I love those
Yeah,
LED panels. I think it's easy on the eyes no matter where you're watching from, whether you're in the arena or you're on YouTube watching as well. My only criticism would be with the stadium seating that's around it because there's a couple spots in there where you're unable to see because of the
That's right.
height that's behind the player. But I tell you what, like I've been coming here now for I think the year that Little Cole won, so maybe 19 ish, 18, somewhere around there.
yeah.
And it's just night and day to see the way that this event in general and then in particular on the pro side has just evolved.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. That's one of the issues we had. So we're looking at changing the design of the seating area next year. But
Yeah, I do
it's
like
another
that the
discussion.
seating area is at table height. That I like a lot, as opposed to being on the floor.
Okay.
I
Well, any
do like.
feedback you guys have, we want to improve. So
Well, we ain't been shy to give some opinions
Yeah.
here or there. you know,
So let's go on further into what changes that have been made, things like that. The new format. How's the feedback been to you from players who had been skeptical in the past or who didn't like the format in the past?
well,
What did you hear through the alpha?
through the alpha, I think the feedback was great. At least for stage two, some guys asked, "Hey, can we have the same format stage one?" I said, "No, we don't have enough time to do it. The
Right,
matches will be too long." And
right,
so the reason we did it for stage two, no, the number, the ratio. It's interesting how players evolved over 18 months. That will be now we launched the tour the PBS a couple years ago,
yeah, yeah,
and now they got so good that the number of shootout in stage two was becoming above 50% because the players got so good at it. In stage one, still around 30, so we're okay. A bit less than 30, depending on the tournament. So one way to reduce the number of shootouts closer to 5-10% was changing the format, and
right,
also the quality of play in stage two. You have the best players that remain in the
right.
tournament,
right.
so it made sense to move in that direction.
Yeah,
I,
well, that was more. They were more likely to be your
Yeah,
shootouts too.
yeah,
no, I thought it was great. I loved how it made that third set that much more, you know, intense because it was like even when the guy's at two, you're like, all right, is he gonna get to three or is the guy gonna get to two? And then you
Right,
never know because then once it's 3-3, now we have a shootout. I think from the player standpoint, they get more bang for their buck and more pool being played, which is the concern that we had heard from players over the last few years. What opportunities do you see out of this event, in particular to the Pro Billiard Series and the Alpha event, like areas to work on or that you can improve on?
well, I think we made big strides on the formats. The ladies gave us a little bit some feedback on how the schedule worked. They requested some tweaks on the hours. I'd like to have more practice tables. So I discussed that with our partner CSI. So we're going to create a different area for practice, and but that's important. The equipment is good. We're still going to tweak the cloth. I mean, the speed on the cloth is good now. It's slower than it was a little too fast a year ago. But I still want to make a few more tweaks. So we're making, we're predator. We're always innovating. We're always
Yeah.
improving, and that's the way that's the way we are, right?
When you mentioned the practice for the players, it would have to be somewhere in here, right? Somewhere in the open, because I think that's part of the experience is being able to see the pros practice, the interaction, being able to check them out while they're playing, and I think that if it were to be, let's say, isolated somewhere else, you might lose that buzz.
Yeah, yeah, but it's going to be a private room most likely. Now they'll still be able to practice in the main arena,
Right.
the main area. Sorry, but they'll have some private practice room that they could use even when we're setting up.
right,
When you have a player coming from Taiwan, China, Philippines, or Europe, they need to get here, get a couple days of adjustment, and they may not have a predator table to practice on.
Right.
So I want the players to play their best when they come to the table, and remember, as I told you, it's one of the reasons the format is what it is. I want them to feel the pressure right away because I want them to think like an athlete. Some of them still don't think like athletes. A lot are changing their ways. They work with mental coaches, and that's how we elevate our sport too, right?
What say you, Mike?
No, I think they're all good points. I think that the format change was great. I'd like to see more of the players that were taking passes last year get more involved this year, get back into it. Um, we were talking a little bit before about the arena, and I think one of the things that I really noticed this year is how many more people are watching the matches, and it's
Cool, huh?
something that takes a couple of years to develop that. It has for everybody who's run a tournament. So now to see how the amateur players, the league players are coming in here, and they're going out of their way to find out who's playing the arena matches, to be in there for those. Been to a lot of tables in the last, I just got here today, but every table I went to, there was a pretty decent crowd around it, and the arena tables were great. So it's just one of those things that you keep building on from year to year to year, and now people come to the event knowing that they want to take time out of their schedule to watch some of the pro matches, right?
Yeah. One of the challenges actually is funny you mentioned that. One of the challenges is going to be the pit. I mean, how many seats there are? It's too packed. So I'm not sure. I still want to keep the event free entry, right? And the idea for us to rebuild the tour to grow the sport to make it more accessible. The two TV tables are still free access to watch worldwide,
Right.
and the side tables, yes, there is a membership to get on tv.cozum.com, but that players are happy because before we did not have
Right.
a camera
Oh,
on
it's
every
great.
table.
Well, I'd
It's great.
imagine there's a lot of overhead with that too.
Yeah.
That but what you pay for, you get in terms of quality from the team at Kazum and what they put out there with the live scoring and the quality of the video.
Yeah.
So I think there's a middle ground there that people should be able to appreciate. And even for me being here, I got the scoreboard up while we're doing the interview. Checking out matches, and I can tell you, look, being here years ago when I would see players play, players that I knew of, but like the more they're not the Shanes or the Josh Fellers of the world, right? Now there's fans watching every match.
Yeah.
I was watching
Yeah.
the final of the women's, and it was standing room only throughout there. And here in the States, those aren't name players here in the States. It was about an hour in between matches on the TV table, and I forget who was coming up next. But people were already sitting down there an hour ahead of time. I'm used to like 5 minutes before I can walk in and just have a good seat. It's not the case
Yeah.
anymore because people are camping out in order to watch these great matches going on. And it's not just in the TV arena; it's throughout the entire venue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think the team is doing a great job. I think we're doing a better job. We're improving, and you see it in the numbers. The growth this year on number of players at the CSI Expo, I think, is around 40%,
That's what Ozzy was telling me. Yeah,
and the seating is always packed. I mean, even in stage one of the Alpha Las Vegas Open, I was
Yeah.
surprised. I didn't expect it. I mean, did you guys follow the Puerto Rico Open
yeah,
and the World 8 Ball Championship?
hmm
I mean, do you see
Yeah.
how the ambiance we had?
right,
People were screaming, shouting. It was awesome.
yeah. You could even hear it in the background off TV table matches.
Yeah, that was awesome. And in Puerto Rico here, and recreating. Every country we're in, our city has its own culture, its own identity, and we
Their own
respect it. We
passion,
make it part of the event.
right? You mentioned Puerto Rico, and you guys held the World 8 Ball Championships there.
Yes.
Last time I think we had you on, you mentioned taking the World 8 Ball over to Japan, and I'm curious what's the future of that event look like, and yeah, just how's that looking?
Yeah, so we had the meeting with the WPA, our Japanese partners, and it looks like it's not going to be in Japan this year.
Okay,
In Japan, we're going to have a Japan Open, probably at Series 10 ball. But the World 8 Ball will be going to Austria in October. So we'll do the official announcement within 2 weeks. So it's
Okay.
the World 8 Ball will be in Austria alongside the Women World 10 Ball
okay.
and alongside the World Junior 9 Ball.
So World Junior, Women's World 10 Ball, and then the World 8 Ball
Yeah,
Championships all at the same
in
time.
Austria. That's correct.
3 world
And
championships, 3 different disciplines.
yeah. So the local government has been super excited. 9 ball, 8 ball, 10 ball. You know me on this diversity, right?
Yeah. So this is in Klagenfurt.
Yes, in Klagenfurt. So it's gonna be a cool world billiard party.
It is. And that will be when?
October.
October.
Yeah, I think second week of October.
Okay.
Watch.
And Puerto Rico will host again the men on women Puerto Rico Open, Medalla Light Puerto Rico Open, and the World Teams Championship.
That's exciting news, man.
The World Teams Championship, sorry. So that will start on November 7 or 6 until November 12 or 13th. You should come.
Oh, I didn't get to go. Believe me, I was real salty. At home watching the ambiance, as you say, of the event. It's rare that I'll go in there like regretting something or. But when I'm watching everything from your social media team to the production, the YouTube, the whole 9 yards, it was just top shelf, and it really made me at home feel like, man, I got to get on a plane and get over there. And I'm not just saying it because you're here. I've been saying it since the event. It looked phenomenal, Karim.
The island is beautiful. The island is great. The food is great. But my favorite part is the people. In
I can
Puerto Rico.
imagine,
They're
yeah.
really cool, very welcoming. It's and there is such a culture around billiards. Our biggest sponsor in Puerto Rico, the biggest private sponsor or corporate sponsor is Medalla Light, which is kind of the main beer in the Caribbean, and it's the government, it's the Office of Tourism. The team has been awesome to help us promote pool throughout the year, and on to help make the tour sustainable. We have new sponsors coming into Europe. Things are changing so fast now. It was grind to build the tour. It was not easy, but we just signed a new TV contract. The top broadcaster in Vietnam.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a 3-year contract. They're super excited. Now it's TV in Vietnam. It's pretty cool, and we have more people reaching out to us. So we're moving in the right direction.
What say you, Mike?
No, it's great. No, it's all good. Just interesting to hear what's coming up, what the plans are going forward. Yeah, no, it's all positive from here. I love the events that are coming up, the places that they're at. Get more
Did you?
global with the events.
Yeah. Did you notice how crowded the area was? Not only the TV table, but the area
Of course, yeah.
around the woman. That
Yeah.
was awesome.
Yeah.
Before we started, there was no more really real woman tour. There were a few events. I think WPBA is tried, and they're doing a good job. And what we're able to do with women and in collaboration with WPBA on the WPA on the CSI, too many letters. Huh?
Yeah, that's for sure.
It's pretty cool
Well,
because I'm happy for their own brands. That's good. I need to work on. I'm trying to raise more money to get the prize money higher, but they're looking good. We're adding another women event in Wisconsin in May alongside the men, the Wisconsin Open. Michigan, we're gonna have men on women. In Japan, we're gonna have men on women. So it's really cool for the women's sport.
so will the WPBA be involved in the one in Wisconsin?
It's not going to be a WPBA sanctioned event, but the WPBA will be involved because we talk to them. We like to collaborate
Yeah.
with federations and whatnot. It's
So
we
explain to me. I mean, last year there was a really concerted effort by you to bring in the WPBA, bring in the women, but also bring in the association to help for you to help them build their schedule. And this year it's your events and their events. Why the disconnect this year?
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm still trying to understand it. They're
Well,
great.
I mean, it's
I like- I
very
like-
confusing to me because this is the WPBA is finally getting back a little bit on its feet, and you don't look a gift horse in the mouth, obviously. So I keep thinking, is there something I'm missing here? Because it seems very obvious to me that collaboration is the way to go.
Well, I don't think it's the prize money. I don't think it's the number of stops. I don't
No?
think it's the performance with the woman because they seem happy about our events.
Agreed.
I mean, it may be some issues with rules and procedures. I think that they have in place that didn't fit, I guess, this year, or maybe we just want to step back and reconnect with us in the future. I mean, I'm always open. It's not. I mean, I think they do. WP does a good job, and I want to see them develop.
Yeah, no, it's been great the past year seeing more and more events with the women and the international players getting back into the swing of things and coming over here a lot. It's been great, and I like it because it's pushing the American women to get better, which they need a lot of room for improvement. But this is the best way to do it, is to be under the gun, right?
Exactly. If we have most of the pro event, whether it's men or women in China or only in Asia, that's not going to happen. Or only
No,
in Europe with other promoters, that's not going to happen. We need strong pro events in the US, which
Agreed.
will attract players from around the planet, so the local pros get an opportunity to grow and develop.
Well, not
and,
just
and
that, but it plants the seeds for these amateur players and to that appreciate the sport to now become fans of the players, which is now they're going to tune in down the road when it's not in Las Vegas, when it's at Wisconsin or Austria, Puerto Rico, wherever. Where if they can't make it, now I want to tune in because now I have a vested interest in following said player, and seeing their
right.
progress.
Well, and the great thing too about the events in the U.S. is you talk to any European player and a lot of the Asian players as well, and they love coming to events in the U.S. because there are crowds where they play. I mean, anybody who's been to a Euro Tour event knows that it's like an oil painting, So, um, but so
Tell us how you
they
really feel,
love.
Mike.
No, no, they tell me how it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not an expert on it. I believe them when they say, "Listen, there's nobody there. There's no." So we love coming and playing in events in the U.S. because there's always going to be a crowd. There's always going to be enthusiasm, and we got to build off that. That's great opportunity for events. It's great opportunity for American players.
Yeah, it's great, and also for the sport as a brand. And when I think about an event, and we design an event in a new location, we think about billiard as a sport. And as you guys know, we don't make money on any single event. What drives the economic engine is the sale of product. Every dime we make on tables cloth goes back into the sport, whether it's a pro tour man, woman, or the juniors. So
Yeah,
so that gives us a luxury that other promoters don't have, is that we have a plan that's long term, and we can focus on, okay, how do we elevate the brand over the next decade for pool. And the atmosphere, which you're touching on, Mike, is very important. The vibe we have here is cool. The vibe in Puerto Rico is awesome. It's just different, right?
you're right.
The Austria is a quieter event, but it's very athletic, I'm gonna say, which is inspired by really the culture of the oceans as athletes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we're able to build that. Other companies do a good job in China. The last event I went to, the China Open, they had a good crowd. I think the last matchroom event I've been to, for what I follow, they're doing a good job with drawing crowd.
Well, since we're on the topic of Matchroom,
Were
there was
we?
well, I know I didn't bring it up. There was some concerns regarding overlapping the schedules. That was brought up with Josh not being able to make an event out in Europe following this event. What, if any, talks have there been as far as trying to be more, I don't know, flexible on dates or more communication in general?
Do you think the Rio is going to let me move the dates of the
I don't
events?
think so. No, I don't think so. No.
That's why we announced the event on these
Yeah.
dates 2 years ago,
Right.
right?
Right.
So, and I don't work at Matchroom, so I don't know what their approach is or their strategy. I know on our end we make a strong. We put in a lot of time in communication with Continental Federation, with the WP, the World Pool Association. In guys here at the events and stuff. Are those days okay? Like we had the conflict with the. There's an opportunity to revive the China Open. So the WPA contacted me a couple of weeks ago or a month ago. Hey, Karim, I know you have the Japan Open on those dates, but is there any chance you can move the Japan Open? Because China wants to have an event which is, I don't know, three or more than $300,000. And for me, it's a great opportunity for the sport, right? So I went back to drawing board, called our partners in Japan. Hey, can we move those dates? And we figured out a way to move our dates. So I think actions speak louder than words, and we put a lot of effort in it. Now Matchroom does what Matchroom does. I think that's a question for Emily, not for me.
Well, I'm sure we'll be able to ask her sooner than later about some of these. And to be fair, we do. It's not just a matter of holding anyone's foot to the fire one way or the other. We give praise where it's due, and love asking questions that I think people want to know about. It's a good problem to have in the sense that there's a ton of events going on for players to choose from compared to years ago.
That's awesome. I mean,
Yeah,
the prize money for this year for the Pro Billiard Series is above $2 million. Just
Right.
as $2 million, and that's, and a lot of it comes from the system we're developing, from sponsors, from sale of product that are connected to the event. This is pretty cool. And I think if you add the events organized in China this year, in Qatar, that's coming up this summer, plus our friends in the UK, that's I think close to it's north of 3 million. I mean, the biggest tour may be Predator, right? The Pro Beard series, maybe the biggest series, but that's not what matters. I think the ensemble, the grouping, is stepping back, looking at the WPA series. Actually, Matchroom are not WPA essentially, besides the
Correct.
9 ball,
Except the 9 ball, yeah.
besides the World 9 ball. But regardless, what matters is number of events. I hope there's a need. I hope we'll see more collaboration between the promoters because I think it's going to keep on growing and the sport is going to keep on growing. So that's great news.
Agreed.
Where does this leave the WPA in terms of, you're still very proactive in dealing with the WPA, and Matchroom has kind of, pushed the WPA aside to kind of play its own game. How does that affect the future of tournaments, future of dealings with federations and different governments? How do we keep everybody on the same track?
Well, I think the WPA has a big task ahead of them.
Yeah.
It's not easy. I'm trying to keep the federation happy, the not-for-profit organization, keep larger companies happy, whether it's Predator, CSI, Matchroom, the big bosses in China or in Qatar or other countries. It's not going to be an easy task, Mike. I know on my team we're in touch with WPA almost every week, so that's communication is key. That's all we can do.
I think one of the,
One more thing I'd say, Molina and
Yeah.
Mike. I'd say
Yep.
the pros have to be involved. They're the cast. They're part of the cast. They're the stars, and they have a lot more influence than one may think. Whether it's
Do you think that they need to have an organization of
there's
their own?
there's no question in my mind that they do. I think the promoters are trying to keep them away from having an association. Predator is different. My philosophy on this is completely different. I come from a country. I was in a country with there are more unions than its neighbors in
Yeah.
France, right? But the pros do need an organization, have a voice together because there will be a lot more powerful working together than divided. And for some of the promoters, they'd rather see them divided than working together.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, that's
Of
sad.
course.
That's sad, Mike. I can now that we have real prize money in events. We have we're doing pretty well. It's the best time to do it.
Well, let me ask you this. You've been around long enough to have seen pro player associations started, attempted, things like that.
Well,
Where
hold
have
on,
they-
Mike. Mike, I'm still younger than you, right? You have more gray hair, buddy.
Everybody in this room is younger than me. But you've seen them try things. Where have they made their mistakes in the past, and what do you think is the primary function of players getting together as a group?
Well, they can
Because they tend to get together a lot of times and they start talking about things like 401k plans and medical insurance and things that are just way down the road. What's the primary function that would help them dealing with the promoters going forward?
communicating with the federation, the world organization of promoters. That should be the primary function. I mean, every one of the reasons I think it doesn't work is because first it's not an easy task to
No.
put together, and I respect that. But they make the agenda is always too ambitious.
Right.
They want to do
100%.
events. They want to force push a company to change the rules here,
Right.
change the schedule.
So that's what I'm
stuff.
saying. If you wanted to simplify it and pin it
Simplify.
down to one or two things, what would those one or two things be?
Communicate one representative that communicates with the WPA and its members, continental members, and that's one thing. And the second thing is the communication with the promoters.
We had someone on from the WPA not too long ago, and I asked them a few questions that were a little bit difficult. And I want to ask you, what do you think the WPA does for the players?
Well, I think they do a lot. You know, they at least they try to keep some cohesion together. And there was a time where the ambition was to make sure there's no big conflicting events. That doesn't seem to be working too well.
Yeah. I'd
Well, I
say
mean, in their
mission
defense,
accomplished. You know.
well, in their
It's hard,
defense,
man.
it's in their defense, it's a hard thing to do.
It's not easy. It's not easy.
No, not at all.
No, but I mean, I gave them some suggestions on their trying to. I mean, I told them, see, guys, I get it. You cannot. If we have a $200,000 event in Japan and one in the States, that's fine, or 100K event, let's say. But you cannot have two major events on top of each other in the same continent. I mean, like there was that an event during the Predator German Open last year in the UK that was silly, right? I understand the excuse, well, oh, we have TV contracts, whatever. But anyway, it happened. Whatever happened, happened.
Right.
But moving forward, I mean, it doesn't. It hurts us. It hurts Predator to have to dilute the number of players we see to have two different events at the same time. It's not good for the sport, I think. Now, but there's a
Not
way,
good for
there's
the
a
players.
system. They need to build more bargaining power and renegotiate that. But I think the players have a stronger chance to make that happen if they work with the WPA, if they have one common voice.
But why would they want to trust them considering their track record, Karim? I mean, it's like you want to sell them on this idea that, hey, we're going to go to bat for you guys in regards to the promoters, but, look at the last however many decades and what they haven't done.
I understand what you're saying. There's
Yeah.
been a lot of issues, but look at the last 3 years,
Them-
right? I mean, they trusted me and trusted us with the World Junior Championship. That has different look and feel. They
Right.
helped us in organizing it, on structuring it. They really got us engaged into the sport. Now we built a $2 million tour. Now in the sport, if you look at all the WP events, it's several $1 million in prize money that did not exist 10, 20 years ago. We have the World Championships in different continents. We're organizing the Women World Nine Ball Championship in New Zealand next year. They helped us with that. I mean, I have to give them credit. Right? They really were supportive in thinking outside the box, and that was not easy when you have like pages of rules and regulation.
I can, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And dealing with the federation is not easy, man. The national federation I've tried is way too difficult. So that's where the WPA helps. I call Ishan, the president. I say, listen, can you please call Austria, help them? Please, I cannot change the dates of the because they have a local national championship. I can't. I mean, I'm a
Right.
big sponsor in the production in Klagenfurt is between 600 grand and $750,000. I can't change those dates.
Yeah, sure.
You mentioned sponsors a few times, and what success, if any, has there been? For getting more outside sponsors. I mean, obviously we see it's the Medallia Light, it's the Alpha event, so we are seeing outside of pool sponsors jump in board with you guys. What's the horizon look like? What's the future looking like?
It's looking great. So in Puerto Rico is a more than $1 million production, and the Puerto Rico event,
Right.
and we're able to raise close to $750,000 outside Predator money. On the Predator side, the sales were phenomenal. We sold like 50 tables in a couple of weeks when we were there. So we're getting the model is making sense. I mean, Mike asked me a couple of years ago, "Hey, Karim, that's a big investment, a big bet you're making." And my answer to Mike back then was, "Listen, my favorite part in my job is my second favorite. My favorite part is coaching the team. The second is design. I love designing, whether it's cues, tables, or business model, and it's coming together very well. We're getting uh, more sponsor coming on board. Other cue makers I'm talking to right now also that will be joining the team
You mean outside of the cat?
outside of the cat. One of them has a cat too, but the other doesn't.
Is that right?
And we're trying to make the event more attractive for outside sponsors. The way we present our data, I mean, it's easy for us because the numbers were so successful last year.
Right.
And the team did a great job. So we're growing. We're here to stay. It's going to be fun and kick some butt.
I've been to a few events, and this is something else. This event here in Vegas is something different. I'm in, we're outside the venue right now. I mean, we're still indoors, but we're outside the main tournament room, and it's standing room only, right? Not even considering the, 4 rows that you can walk down where you're having to turn sideways to get through the room. The packed house by the pro arena on the outside tables on the TV arena. Then you got the back room with more league play in another TV arena, and some more tables, it's something special. Um, yeah, man, you guys ought to be real proud of it because it wasn't like this years ago. It just really wasn't.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it like everything complements the other. The amateur play affects the growth of the pro players and building their fan base, their social media platforms, the media team you guys have put together, the production you guys have put together. Everything just kind of works hand in hand to grow.
Yeah. And I think the prize money in this event, just on the pro side, is more than $500,000. Puerto Rico is 500,000. Here, if you include pros and league, it's north of $1.4 million in prize money. It's pretty impressive. The sport is growing.
Well, one of the things that I think players were having issues with before were the playability of the tables, right? That was something that in the format you guys have addressed the playability of the tables from the feedback that I'm hearing from players. I'm not hitting balls on them, so I don't know, but I'm
It's awesome.
yeah, yeah, no, it's
They
been
play
great. And the format, you guys have made some adjustments. Obviously, you're open and have been receptive to feedback. The only other, things issues that I've been seeing are some when it comes to the racking of the balls and the way that the breaks are coming off. I saw you, and Karim mentioned earlier. I'm walking around, I'm watching things. I can say that he has because I've been in like obscure table matches, with no, with all due respect, like not the more named players playing, and there's Karim in the background, just sitting and watching, in the shadows. Have you noticed it? And what if any notes are you taking, and what are the plans for it?
Well, there's awesome brands that manufacture awesome tables, whether it's Diamond, Brunswick, they're like Simonis makes a great cloth. Armix makes great bowls. Matchroom is a great promoter, or EPBF, IBP also. So all those guys are considered like being the standard. No, the standard is good. The race 2 9s, race 220 tournaments. That's the standard. That's what we're used to. What I care about is how do I inspire? How do I bring more people to watch pool, play pool? The love we get,
Right.
the game we love. So not the love we game. But oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be in trouble with my wife
No,
now.
no, you're good.
Is to innovate.
Right.
I want to bring more people in the pool room. So I get already Kachi's room. It's one of the first Predator
I
rooms that
saw it. Looks
open.
real sexy.
There's a couple other powered by Predator rooms in Middle East, in Southeast Asia, and in the States. I opened in Europe also. On all of them saw a growth in revenue, right? So I understand the table plays different than what they're used to, but that's what they're used to. This is designed to be different, to sound different.
Right.
It's different games. So once they practice more and more of these tables, they're gonna love them. They're great tables.
No, no, no.
And
I guess the
I
concern was
think
more towards the racking,
yes,
and
I'm getting to that.
versus the tables, because like I mentioned earlier, and honestly, this is not just because you're here. I've talked to a lot of players because that's obviously one of the first things that I think of, and for it's been very, very positive. I mean, extremely positive.
I appreciate that. The we need a random element. A lot of players say, "Oh, I prefer we use templates."
No, I don't
So
think the
like,
template's the answer either.
so the problem with templates, they're too perfect. We
Right.
need a random element in the game, and that's the right. The triangle that we designed was really designed for pro play, and we're working on coaching our referees, make sure we're going to tweak also the cloth to help the racking,
Okay.
because I think we can make some adjustments there. And I know it's not easy, but we need some random fact. I mean, I saw a couple racks that were not perfect. I didn't like the results. I addressed it with the referees right away. And it's not only, I mean, we'll
Yeah.
improve, but we're sticking with the
That that
triangle. We need
that,
that.
that the
I
template is
don't
not
want,
the answer. I
yeah,
do
the
not want to
template.
see template 10 ball
Yeah.
ever, ever.
yeah,
I mean, some
yeah,
of the guys who have
agreed.
the best breaks want templates. I get it, guys. You want to win, but we need that random element. And I tell them every time, I say, so now,
You get it?
if you tell me that you lost, so a player can come to me, oh, Karim, because of the triangle or the rack, I lost that match. All right, hold on a second. You're going to tell me you did not miss one shot? Uh,
Next time you have that conversation, just shoot me a message, right? Let me know where you're at, and then I'll be there with my phone, right? Because I want to see the response. I want to see the reaction. You know.
I
No,
want,
here's the thing. I feel like in this event, race to 8, right? It's different. When you talk about race to 4, one rack is a lot. And it makes a big difference. And especially in the moment in there, you can say there are 2 races to 8, I mean 2 races to 4, excuse me, in the Pro Beard Series. I get it, but in those sets, one rack can be it's rough, man.
I
You
get
know?
it, Molina, but remember again, how were we able to build this $2 million tour that's growing every year?
The excitement,
The
yeah,
excitement
yeah,
by attracting
agreed.
outside sponsors.
Yeah,
So many people say, "Oh, you're not going to be able to do it." How many
mm,
people came to me over the past 20 years? Karim, please sponsor my tournament. I cannot find money.
right.
I found money from outside guilds. Why? Because we design a product that's exciting, including the triangle. The rack, when there is a bad break, I mean, Chris Drum, I'm going to show you a video after this that will a 3 minute video about what the tour is about, and we'll publish it maybe in a month or two. And that drama element is fantastic.
It
That's what my sponsors love. So we need to balance between our different customers or stakeholders. One is the pros, but the pros are not only our customer; they're also the star of the event. They're part of the cast. If you think about it as a movie or Disney, they're part of the cast, and they need to understand their role there. But my other customer is the fan who's watching on their sofa on TV the event in Vietnam, in the US, and the fan who's coming here. And my third customer is our sponsors, right?
I
If we want to grow the sport, we need to make it more exciting, not too predictable. Mike, can you help
no,
me on predictability
it's
there?
terrible, just terrible, terrible. I agree with you. Let's say you, Mike.
No, I'm going to agree with Karim 100%.
Well, there's no fun in that, you know.
Yeah,
No,
no, no, but he's right. Listen, I understand. I think that your question was valid, and you want randomness and you want
right.
all this, but you also want to respect the professional level of play and what these guys have put into their game, right? And so, and as you pointed out, Mike, if it's a race to four event and I get one slug rack, that's a crusher. I mean, that's I'm not I put too much time into the game and into my game to have that affect whether or not I win or lose. So, but it's like everything else. It's all part of a process, and every promoter in the game looks at what they did today and they try to improve it for tomorrow, right?
I feel
And that's how you eventually get to a point where it's okay. We've smoothed out all these problems, and then there's always going to be problems, but they're smaller and smaller and smaller and easier to address because
a
you've taken
million
care of the
percent.
big
I
things.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, just look at 12 months ago, right? When there was issues with the table, Karim came on, faced them head on, got in front of it. At the same time,
What?
look at it. Yeah, look at the way that it is now, right? You talk about innovation and being open to feedback and going and applying that and improving, and we see that now a year later.
You know,
Right?
I have people who bought, they sold a few $1 million worth of tables and cloth last year. This year, most likely will double in revenue. And a lot of the emails I get from customers, whether they're opening a pool room or getting a table in their house, or people stop me in the hallway. Karim, I got your table. I know you had challenges last year, but what you're doing is pretty impressive, and I love the way you handle it. And I trust the brand Predator because you designed the best product out there. So I want your table in the house. I'll take the bet there. And now you get more and more calls coming our way for more orders. So it seems to work.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah.
like the broadcaster in Vietnam, right? I didn't go after them. I didn't have the time to reach out to broadcasters in different countries. They just reached out to us. Hey, we love your product. We want to be part of it. Can we negotiate a deal for the next 3 years? So
Yeah, it's great.
it's moving in the right direction.
What say you, Mike? You've been real quiet over there. You've been too busy
No, no,
saying "good
no.
job"
It's
Karim, over the whole time.
I know. Mike must have another WPO, another matchroom
I
question
know it,
coming.
man. I know it. He's
no.
waiting. He's
I'm not.
waiting.
I'm not. I'm
All right,
not
so
going there. I'm not going to throw that
no,
WPA
it's okay.
question at
It's
you,
okay.
Karim.
There was some issues with Matchroom and WPA concerning the 9 ball. I know that's you guys want to ask me the question, but you're not. But
Well,
so
I don't. I don't want
go.
to get into things that are
Yeah.
still, if there's
Right.
still legal issues with it. If there's still,
Yeah,
but
there's some. That's what I was going to tell you. There's some issues there where attorneys are involved. I think the issue is silly from my perspective. I like to I respect what WBA does. I respect what Matchroom does. All I want to do is grow the sport, and we will. Nine
yeah,
ball is part of our DNA. 10 ball too. That I love the game. That's why it's our main pro event. We signed a contract to for the World 8 Ball Championship for the coming years with WPA because this is one of the most one of the most popular game on the planet, and
Yeah.
everybody, even who play other cue sports like snooker or black ball, can relate, or Chinese billiards, Chinese 8 ball, can relate to that game. So, and it's interesting because the crowd who's following 8 ball is just different than the crowd who's following our 10 ball or 9 ball event. So they all complement each other. And
Yeah.
regarding the matchroom WPA Predator or situation
We
around
we
rights,
we could
I
save that
think,
for another day.
yeah, but I think I mean, we're all adults. We all want. I think it's everybody's benefit to grow the sport.
Well, you would
So we'll
think,
figure it out.
right? You would think so,
Yeah, I
anyway.
think so. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll figure it out. I mean, it's yeah, lots of adults there. We'll be fine.
It's there's a lot of room to be optimistic and hopeful and appreciative, and
Listen,
that's the main thing.
Mike.
Yeah.
One of the keys to success is make sure that when you look at your glass, not this one actually, it's always s- somewhat full. Like
Yeah.
half full. Here is just 10%, but there's some water in it.
Yeah.
That's my. And you need to be able to take on challenges. I mean, I told you. I think one of my favorite book that I read in the last couple of years was uh, "Good to Great to Unstoppable." It's all about the mental and the coaching. You need to be focused on your goal and go after it.
I think that's just part of life, right? You do something, years ago, if we would have interviewed you, you would have said, "Hey, this is our best foot forward, right? This is the best thing that we can put out at this point." And then now, years later, look how much better it is, right? So it's not settling; it's continuing to innovate and improve, like you said. Um,
And collaborate.
well,
Whether it's other promoters,
yeah,
federations, and crazy people like you.
you're always welcome, my man. You're always welcome. Karim Belhaj
Appreciate
of the
that.
Predator Group. We appreciate you stopping by as always. Mike, you got anything else, my man?
No, we're good to go.
All right,
And
bud.
thanks to your sponsor. I see the sponsor there: Cybers, QTech,
Yeah,
JB, Jamison, How. So
we got a ton of them.
yeah, that's cool.
We're missing one. We'll talk.
We don't
Yeah.
sponsor you?
No,
We'll,
yeah, we'll talk. Yeah, yeah,
we'll talk.
yeah, we'll talk. Thanks a lot, buddy. I appreciate it.